good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode of Next Step Espresso, your daily shot of fitness. I am your host, as always, Johnny Landals from Next Step Nutrition, bringing you the podcast that helps you overcome the industry confusion and get results for life. Today, we're on episode 335. I mentioned yesterday about managing stress. If you didn't listen to it, I recommend going back. And at the end of the episode, I talked about putting yourself first. Now, a lot of the time, we put ourselves last. And if you ever recall being on an aeroplane, I know that might be a while ago now, thanks to COVID, but if you remember being on an aeroplane, they will say at the start about the safety protocols and putting on your mask if the air supply runs out. And they always say, put on your mask before helping other people who are less than you. And the reason for that is this, right? If you have a child with you who can't put their mask on, and you try to put their mask on but faint in the process, then they're not going to have their mask on anyway, and neither did you. Now, this is a bleak example, but the same can be said for life, right? If you don't put your health and well-being first because you are helping other people, then you won't have those people to help because you won't be here. And this is quite morbid, so apologies for that. But it's true, right? If you put your health last, you will break down mentally and physically. So if you don't take enough time out to recover from stress, I know I talked about reframing stress yesterday, and that's key to this process, but take time out to recover. So turn off your emails, turn off your laptop, take your weekends off, take holidays, have a good work-life balance in terms of at the hours that you work, and make sure you take time for yourself to chill, relax, spend time with your loved ones in a relaxing manner as well. Make sure you have the time both on and off so that you can recover and avoid things like depression and breakdown and burnout. And from a physical side of things, you need to be putting yourself first when it comes to nutrition and exercise. I know that is my job. And so you're like, yeah, Johnny, of course you're going to tell me to do that. You're probably going to sell me a program. And I'm not. I've got nothing to sell right now. But it's so true, right? For those of you who know me, I'm not sure I've talked about this on the podcast before, but many of you probably follow me or the business on Instagram. You know, my father unfortunately passed away when I was 16. And that was because he put everyone else first. He worked far too hard. He was overweight. He smoked and was a very stressed man because of the amount of work he put himself under. And he did all of these things because he loved his job, for one. But two, because he wanted us to have a great life. You know, he wanted my brother and I to have a great education and to have all of the opportunities. He wanted his wife and his family to have nice holidays and have nice things. So it was entirely altruistic. This might be the case for you too. You might be working hard at a job because you want to buy a house or you want your family to have nice things. And that's great, but don't do it at the expense of your own health. Funnily enough, just like in training, if we take more time off in training than we think, we'll get better results because we recover better. The same can be said in work and life. If you give yourself less time to work, you will get better results, because think about when you've got a deadline. How hard do you work when you've got a deadline you need to meet? Very fucking hard, right? If you give yourself less time in a day to work and do your job, you will be better at it. You will be faster at it. Trust me. I have worked less in the last month than I've done in a long time. Don't get me wrong, I've not worked less hard. I've worked less hours and I've done more. I've got more done. I've helped my clients better, right, by doing that. Because one, I had the time off to recover. And then two, when I was on, right? I was on. I turned everything on Don't Disturb. I didn't check social media. I didn't have a chat with people at the water cooler and have a coffee every 5 minutes. I didn't do those things. When I'm on, I'm on. And if you want to look at a productivity technique, it's called the Pomodoro technique. This is where you turn all of your notifications off. You work for a set period of time without distraction. And then when the timer goes off, you have a break. That has revolutionized my business, and I recommend you do it as well. Back to the story. my dad put everyone else first. You need to put yourself first, because otherwise you won't be here to help the people you're trying to help. So make the time for exercise. Make the time for eating well. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you will know that the healthy eating barrier is not as high as many people think. If you're strapped for time, just focus on your energy intake. Get low-calorie, high-protein ready meals. Get frozen bags of vegetables. Get frozen fruit. Get pre-chopped fruit if you need to. Get meal prep if you need to. Get slow cookers. Make your life easier for you to look after yourself. But if you are in a job right now that is demanding more of your time than is needed, than is required, than is actually useful, then you need to push back. You need to say, I'm only working this many hours a day, and be more productive in that time. Have the chat with your manager. Say, I'm only going to work this many hours a day, but I bet you that I will get this work done in this time, because you can use the Pomodoro technique to be more productive. And if you can't get the work done in that time, then now we need to talk about managing expectations, and you need to talk about actually what is physically possible in a certain amount of time. Just because everyone else in your office has a shit work-life balance doesn't mean that you should either. Don't have your emails on your phone. Don't check your emails all day. Check them twice a day, max. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then don't check them again. This allows you to get your work done undisturbed. After that, if something's on fire, they will ring you. But other than that, use this time in your remote work to put yourself first in terms of your productivity and then your diet and exercise. If you're listening to this and you're homeschooling children, or you're looking after children a lot throughout the day, I realise that complicates the matter with regards to work productivity, but the point remains the same in that you do need to make time for yourself in order for you to be there for them. So if you're stuck for time, something's always better than nothing. A short amount of exercise here and there. Make your food as simple as possible using those tips I talked about earlier, and put yourself first. Be selfish in order to be selfless. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Next Step Espresso. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'll see you again tomorrow for another daily shot of fitness.
Thank you.